And away we go, episode 1357 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, June 29th, 2026. It is NBA and NHL free agency week. Free agency in the NBA's 2026 offseason begins this Tuesday, June 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern with the start of the negotiating period, the period during which NBA teams can begin negotiating with external free agents. And then it is on Monday, July 6th at 12:01 p.m. Eastern that NBA teams may begin officially signing external free agents. And free agency in the NHL's 2026 offseason begins this Wednesday, July 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern. And regarding the NHL and NBA teams of Washington, D.C., coming up on the show, segments on the Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. With the Caps, we'll discuss what they did in the 2026 NHL Draft over the weekend, and we'll react to notable comments from Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick in a post-draft press conference this past Saturday evening regarding the Caps' big trades last week and regarding the playing future of winger Alex Ovechkin. And with the Wizards, we'll examine the man who they got via the second round of the 2026 NBA Draft, big man Felix Okpara of the University of Tennessee. The Wizards this past Friday afternoon held an introductory press conference for Okpara. Will he be part of a defensive resurgence for our Wizards? Which DC team do you trust more defensively, the Washington Wizards or the Washington Commanders? So hang up and take your answer off air. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, in which we talk Washington Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. And next segment, analysis of the latest in the saga of our friend, our pal, our homie, San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk in his quest to join the Washington Commanders. So much to go through from him on social media these past few days, including him finally providing details on his problems with the Niners. Did what he did and said over these last few days make him more or less sympathetic? Did what he did and said over these last few days make Washington acquiring him more likely or less likely? My friends, this is the summer of Aiyuk. Welcome to the summer of Aiyuk. And that summer continues next segment. And also on the show, we'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles as we over the weekend had the Nats winning 2 out of 3 games at the O's, as Nats first baseman Luis Garcia Jr. is hitting out of his mind right now. He, for this month of June now, has 11 home runs and a slugging percentage of .797. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. You can reach me via writing a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can write about whatever you want, and I'll read what you write if you give the podcast a 5-star rating as we march toward 2,000 ratings of the podcast. But what we want are 5-star ratings. They help out the podcast a lot, and we thank you very much. Email from Joel Charney on our conversation with Barry Verluga, columnist for The Athletic, on last Monday's show, episode 1352. Barry was very good talking Washington Commanders and Washington Nationals, writes Joel. Verluga is such a smart and plugged-in reporter. Always enjoy your interviews with him. I was really glad that he landed on his feet at The Athletic after the purge at the Post. Thank you for that, Joel. So it was this past February 4th that we had what was, for all intents and purposes, the end of the Washington Post sports department. And we on the podcast talked a good bit about why that happened and what could come. And one of the really interesting results of what happened is that at least when it comes to Nats coverage, Nats fans now are better off. Jesse Doherty, who used to cover the Nats for the Post but had left the beat, he's now back covering the Nats as he's working for Notice. The two people who had been covering the Nats for the Post, Andrew Golden and Spencer Nussbaum, still are covering the Nats. Golden for the Baltimore Banner, although he's not a full-time Nats reporter, and Nussbaum is covering the Nats for The Athletic, and Barry Verluga still writes about the Nats as a columnist, only now for The Athletic. Now, I can't speak to whether these guys are better or worse off no longer working for the Post, but the consumer is better off because the crop of people covering the Nats has been enhanced. Doherty, Golden, Nussbaum, Verluga, all are really good at writing and talking about the Nats. Change can be good. As upset as people were by the end of the sports section of the Washington Post, that sports section had declined. And how about the Post with Sports Now? It actually has picked up its sports coverage, including having Les Carpenter cover the Commanders. I have no idea what the Post is doing with sports. It, in February, ended the sports section, but the Post seems to be trying to increase its sports coverage. Why? I mean, what's the point at this point? Who's reading the Post for sports at this point? The Post removed itself as a legitimate sports outlet with what it did this past February. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The Post already trying to get back into sports. Comes off like it having no conviction, no direction. Not good. I would respect the Post more if it had stuck to its guns of abandoning sports. Reversing course so quickly communicates bad leadership. And speaking of that, the reported losses for the Washington Post in recent years are staggering. 2023, $77 million. 2024, $100 million. 2025, more than $100 million. Management appears to be a problem. Now, look, I want all media outlets to do well. Let me make that clear. I am rooting for the Washington Post, but the Post needs a lot of work. 2026 Washington Commanders training camp is coming. Rookies report on July 24th, veterans on July 28th. Football season is coming. If you would like to grow your business or practice, consider advertising on this podcast. We're offering great deals in honor of the coming football season. Podcast advertising is very affordable and works. Put the power of the pod to work for you. Get your message out there to thousands of successful people in the Washington, D.C. area. Grow your business or practice. We'd love to have you on board. Email us to see what we could do for you. The email address is thealgaldypodcast@yahoo.com. Is it possible that San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk is a pioneer? Don't laugh. Is it possible that Brandon Aiyuk is a pioneer? Is it possible that Aiyuk is breaking new ground in what he's doing? This guy, in ending his months-long silence with these social media videos and photos this month, expressing his anger toward the Niners, professing his desire to be on the Washington Commanders, he in doing this has, if not seized control of the narrative, then at the very least made his voice heard in this saga between him and the Niners. So we are used to disgruntled athletes expressing their anger in interviews or in written posts on social media. What Aiyuk is doing these days with these social media videos and photos, perhaps this will become the new trend for unhappy athletes. Perhaps Brandon Aiyuk is a pioneer. Perhaps Brandon Aiyuk will go down as the Daniel Boone, as the Lewis and Clark of disgruntled athletes. Where to begin with all that Brandon Aiyuk posted in recent days? Well, let's just take the post in order. Aiyuk on Friday on Instagram posted a video in which he said, quote, "On a real serious note, though, can anybody tell me if I really have a warrant out for my arrest in Cali? If I got a warrant, bro, I'm about to stay out here," end quote. And the caption for the video was, quote, "They gon' have to come catch me in D.C., end quote. So Aiyuk clearly was referring to this warrant regarding a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speeding. We've been wondering what the latest in that legal situation is. It appears as if he has not been arrested. We on June 3rd learned that the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office had issued a warrant for the arrest of Aiyuk on a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speeding. The warrant was in reference to a video that Aiyuk posted on YouTube this past December. He in the video appeared to tape himself from the driver's seat of a vehicle going well over the posted 40 miles per hour speed limit on a road that runs past the Niners Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And Aiyuk, off the breaking news of the warrant being issued, took to Instagram to post a video of himself driving a car on a racetrack. And so Aiyuk on Friday on Instagram posted this video in which he said, quote, "On a real serious note, though, can anybody tell me if I really have a warrant out for my arrest in Cali? If I got a warrant, bro, I'm about to stay out here," end quote. And the caption for the video was, quote, "They gon' have to come catch me in D.C., end quote, a reference to either him currently being in the Washington, D.C. area or him planning on being in the D.C. area and playing for the Commanders, or both. Also on Friday, Aiyuk on Instagram posted a video in which he said that he this past November had terminated his agent and currently did not have an agent. We had been wondering where his agent has been in this entire saga. Apparently, he and the agent are no more. However, NFL Players Association records as of Friday did not reflect Aiyuk not having an agent. They showed him still having as his agent Ryan Williams of Athletes First. I read to you from a piece from a good friend of this podcast, Commanders insider Ben Standing of Last Man Standing on Substack. The piece came out on Friday night. Quote, Ryan Williams of Athletes First remains Aiyuk's agent of record, according to the NFLPA's website. The site is accurate, according to an NFLPA source, because paperwork required to terminate the Standard Representative Agreement, or SRA, has not been submitted. Last Man Standing reported in April that Aiyuk and Williams had not spoken for an undisclosed amount of time. Based on subsequent conversations with other sources, that period exceeded 6 months. The typical termination process begins with the player reaching out to the NFLPA. Paperwork and emails are then exchanged between the NFLPA, the player, and agent to finalize the termination. End quote. So Brandon Aiyuk's firing of Ryan Williams had been done verbally, but not officially. That Aiyuk might not be all buttoned up from a paperwork standpoint. Not exactly shocking. NFL insider Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, he on Sunday afternoon had this, quote, the NFLPA's online database currently shows that Aiyuk is not represented per the NFLPA. The SRA was terminated on Saturday, end quote. And speaking of Saturday, Aiyuk on Saturday on YouTube posted multiple videos, including a 3-minute and 33-second video detailing his problems with the Niners. And this video especially stood out because this marked the first time that he has truly detailed his grievances with the Niners. This entire Brandon Aiyuk saga has been sorely lacking in specifics. How and why did things go wrong between Aiyuk and the Niners? What was behind him no longer showing up for rehab for the torn ACL and torn MCL in his right knee suffered in October 2024, resulting in the Niners voiding the 2026 guaranteed money in Aiyuk's contract, money that was believed to be between $20 million and $30 million. Well, we do still have plenty of questions, but Aiyuk in this video did give us some details, at least details according to him, among the many things that Aiyuk said in this video. Aiyuk indicated that he fired his agent, Ryan Williams of Athletes First, because of his close relationship with Niners president of football operations / general manager John Lynch, whom Williams has represented. Also, Aiyuk expressed displeasure with Williams having texted Aiyuk's wife after being fired by Aiyuk. Aiyuk called the Niners, quote, weirdos, end quote, and, quote, creepy predators, end quote. Aiyuk referred to joining the Washington Commanders via saying, quote, I don't care how long I gotta wait to get to you, my baby, end quote. Aiyuk called John Lynch, quote, a weirdo, end quote, because he at one point came to Aiyuk's house to apologize for the behavior of Niners head coach and former Washington Redskins offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, who Aiyuk said has the, quote, temperament of an effing toddler, end quote. And Aiyuk said that he will not be back on Niners property until this coming October 19th, the day on which we have the Washington Commanders at the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football at 8:15. Here is the audio in its entirety. I had to insert a lot of beeps due to all of the naughty words used by Brandon Aiyuk, but you'll be able to make out what he's saying. Here you go.
Oh, you thought I was done? Man, get your ass up. Come here. All right, y'all, so I understand that a lot of y'all is new here, and so I'm going to just fill y'all in and give y'all the details so that everybody can understand. The reason why the agent being fired is such an important detail in this whole story is because that agent is also the agent of the general manager for that one team. And that agent really started this whole shit because I fired his ass, but he want to text my wife like he's smart. Nigga, don't ever text my wife. Your ass fired. Your ass grass. Get up out of here. Get gone. Okay. Anyways. So he is also the agent for the general manager of that team. And these niggas is all weird. Weirdos. Creepy predators. I would never, ever, ever fuck with these niggas. I would never, ever, ever fuck with these niggas. I don't care how long I gotta wait to get to you, my baby. But if it involves fucking with them niggas first, I'm waiting. General manager gonna pull up to my house. Oh, weirdo. Like, bro, don't pull up to my house uninvited, boy. Shit ain't safe. The fuck. But I knew his ass was gonna do it. So I'm looking at my camera, my front door camera. I see a big old white boy, white man, former NFL safety. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And I know my wife is about to be back home soon. So I had to call my wife and say, it's a big ass white man at the house. I don't know what he doing over there. He was not invited. Shit creepy. So if you on your way home, probably spin the block a few times, because I don't know what bro on. Like, weird. The same general manager that tried to run me down and come apologize for his head coach, because his head coach got a temperament of a fucking toddler and was speaking out the side of his fucking mouth to me. Knowing that you got it, bro. You got it, bro. What I'm gonna do in here, beat you up? Come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. You just talking crazy because you know you can talk crazy. But you feel me? Niggas gonna respect me, or I'm gonna get on, bro. So the story is, I don't fuck with them niggas, and I never will. But I forgive niggas. You feel me? You feel me? I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to heal. So I ain't finna hold it against niggas, but we is not cool. And we won't be cool, and I will never be stepping in that building except for on October 19th when I come through with that motherfucking belt.
All right, Brandon Aiyuk, quite the 3 minutes and 33 seconds. My two favorite parts. A, Aiyuk referring to joining the Washington Commanders via saying, quote, "I don't care how long I gotta wait to get to you, my baby," end quote.
I don't care how long I gotta wait to get to you, my baby.
Yeah, I found that funny. B, Aiyuk saying that Kyle Shanahan has the, quote, "temperament of an effing toddler," end quote.
Because his head coach got a temperament of a fucking toddler.
Yeah, knowing what we know about Kyle Shanahan from his time here, Brandon Aiyuk not exactly wrong in saying that about Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has plenty of good qualities, but bedside manner perhaps is not one of them. Okay, so we had all of that from Brandon Aiyuk in that video. Then there was another video from this past Saturday. Here was that.
And I don't want to hear no BA. Calm down, BA. BA's chill, bro. No. It ain't no chilling. Because for the last 8 months, while folks was capping on my name, saying this, saying that, saying this, saying that, and they was eating it up on the internet, and I was hush and quiet, working. Wasn't nobody saying BA chill. He was believing all that shit. But now, I'm back in action. And I'm back tweaking.
Yeah, and Brandon Aiyuk appeared to be doing that video in a car while eating candy. And there is more. Aiyuk on Saturday on Instagram posted a photo with the message, quote, "Take me off yo bum-ass team. TF is the holdup," end quote. So he called the Niners a, quote, "bum-ass team," end quote. And then Aiyuk on Sunday gave us a written message on Instagram. This message directed at the NFL Players Association, quote, when members of the union that is in place to help players is lying/withholding information from a player on behalf of the team alongside a certified agent, that's some straight BS. Some players have no other place to go for information or help and are relying on the union to help them continue advancing in their careers and lives. I'm sure there are great members of the union, so this message does not pertain to them, but about the ones in my specific case, end quote. So Brandon Aiyuk clearly pointing a finger of blame at the NFLPA. So how do we like all of that from Brandon Aiyuk? What are we to make of all of that from Brandon Aiyuk? I know so many of you, maybe even most of you, are over the Brandon Aiyuk saga, are sick and tired of the Brandon Aiyuk posts on social media, or perhaps even out on Washington potentially acquiring Brandon Aiyuk. If you feel that way, I get it. I do. But I do remain where I have been regarding Washington potentially acquiring this guy. I am open to this. My North Star, my guiding light, my source of comfort is that Washington has multiple people who should have intel on where Aiyuk is at physically and mentally and what truly happened between him and the Niners. Quarterback Jaden Daniels, general manager Adam Peters, offensive assistant Wes Welker, running backs coach Anthony Lynn all have extensive past with Aiyuk. Peters, Welker, and Lynn also have extensive past with the Niners. Whatever Washington decides with Aiyuk will/should be done via intel and knowledge on where he's at physically and mentally and what truly happened between him and the Niners. How is he truly doing physically? We don't know. Not a single one of his social media posts this month has shown him playing football or working out or anything like that. If he's going to keep posting stuff, how about some videos of him playing football and or working out? How about making it clear that he loves football and can't wait to play football again? How is he truly doing mentally? We don't know. Maybe he's fine. I hope that he's fine. But you can't say that you know that he's fine. Some of these posts have come off as silly and even funny, but he in these videos in which he has given these multi-minute diatribes has come off as, shall we say, a bit unhinged, to say nothing of, we don't know if he's telling the truth. He may be telling the truth, but we don't know that. But the good news for us as Washington fans is that our team should know that, and likely does know that, and a lot more, and I continue to fall back on that. My position has been the same throughout this saga. I am open to Washington acquiring Brandon Aiyuk if the team feels comfortable with where he's at physically and mentally, and that is a big if, but if the team feels comfortable with where he's at physically and mentally, signing him to a one-year low-money prove-it contract comes with little risk and high upside. Getting a number 2 receiver who just a few seasons ago was an elite number 1 receiver on a one-year low-money prove-it contract is worth the gamble. But again, the team would need to feel comfortable with where he's at physically and mentally. There's also this. If Brandon Aiyuk really doesn't have an agent right now, I hope that Aiyuk is well aware of the mechanics by which he can/will be released by the Niners. He wants to be released by the Niners and be signed by Washington, right? Well, he's currently on the reserve/left squad list. He, in order to come off that list, needs to apply for reinstatement. He, as best as we can tell, has not done that. He needs to do that. He, while on this list, comes at no cost to the Niners other than potentially being a distraction. But honestly, I think the whole distraction thing can be way overrated. The Niners don't have much reason to placate him via releasing him while he's on this list. He, while on this list, is not getting paid or counting against the salary cap. 2026 San Francisco 49ers training camp does start early. Rookies are due to report on July 18th. Veterans are due to report on July 25th. What Aiyuk needs to do is apply for reinstatement, get reinstated, and show up for training camp. At that point, the Niners almost certainly would cut him because if they didn't, they'd risk being on the hook for his full compensation for the 2026 season if he at camp suffered a season-ending injury. You know, Aiyuk, in that 3-minute and 33-second epic that he posted on YouTube on Saturday, said that he will not be back on Niners property until October 19th. He needs to amend that. He He needs to be back on Niners property for training camp, just long enough to get released. I hope that he understands that. I don't know that the Niners will release Aiyuk prior to him showing up at camp. But for Aiyuk, the mechanics appear simple. Number one, apply for reinstatement from the reserve/left squad list. Number two, once reinstated, show up for Niners training camp. If he does those things, he should get what he wants, being released by the Niners. And then we would see if he'd get the other thing that he wants, being signed by Washington. You know, we just talked about Washington very likely having proper intel on this whole ordeal. Well, what if that intel has led the team to not want Brandon Aiyuk? What if Adam Peters now is out on Brandon Aiyuk? We have no idea if Peters doesn't mind all of these social media posts by Aiyuk or is completely turned off by him. Hey, if you are a Washington Commanders fan, check out bgobsession.com, an outstanding site for discussion about the team, especially as we're now approaching training camp. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been going strong since 2009. BG Obsession offers great contests, game day chats, and camaraderie. No politics, just football. Both old school and new school fans are welcome. Visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com and tell bgobsession.com that Al Galdi sent you. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession.
Quick question for parents. When was your child's last eye exam? Myopia, or nearsightedness, is becoming more common in kids, and it's not just about needing stronger glasses. If myopia continues to progress untreated, it may increase the risk of more serious vision complications later in life. The good news? An eye doctor can help identify myopia early and recommend options designed to help manage it over time. One of those options is Essilor Stellest lenses. Stellest lenses are designed specifically for children and are part of an approach to myopia management that corrects their vision while supporting eye health as their eyes continue to grow. They look like regular eyeglasses, but they're purpose-built for young wearers. Every child's vision is different, which is why starting with a professional eye exam matters. If you have concerns or even just questions, your eye doctor can guide you through what solution is best for your child. Clear vision today can help support your child's future, and it all starts with an eye exam. Visit Essilor.com to learn more about Stellest lenses and to find an Essilor expert eye care professional near you. That's ESSILOR.com.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like: fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's odoo.com to learn more.
The 2026 NHL Draft took place this past weekend. Round 1 was on Friday night. Rounds 2 through 7 were on Saturday. The draft happened at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. The Washington Capitals, they in the draft made 4 picks, principal among them taking forward Oliver Savanto with the number 18 overall pick. The Caps had the number 16 and 18 overall picks in this draft, but the Caps this past Tuesday evening announced having traded forwards Connor McMichael and Milton Gastorine and the number 16 overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft to the St. Louis Blues for forward Jordan Kyrou. The Caps got the number 18 overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft via the trading of defenseman John Carlson to the Anaheim Ducks this past March 6th, where it was 2026 NHL trade deadline day. And so the Caps, via this number 18 overall pick, got Oliver Savanto. And this was a nice value pick. Oliver Savanto, by NHL Central Scouting, was ranked first among international centers and third among all international international skaters. So he's just 17, is from Finland. And the draft capped quite the week for the Caps. I mentioned that trade from this past Tuesday evening. The Caps this past Wednesday night announced the big sign-in trade, announced having acquired forward Alex Tuck from the Buffalo Sabres for a third-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft and forward David Kampf, and announced that the Sabres, prior to the trade, re-signed Tuck to an 8-year, $84 million contract extension. The Caps this past Thursday afternoon announced having traded forward Hendrix Lapierre to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a third-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft and a fifth-round pick in the 2028 NHL Draft. And the Caps this past Thursday night announced having traded defenseman Declan Chisholm to the New Jersey Devils for a fourth-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft. Caps President of Hockey Operations Brian McClellan and Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick, they are behaving with extreme urgency this offseason. And I say that not just based on this past week. Consider what else has happened this Caps offseason. The Caps on June 18th announced having signed head coach Spencer Carberry to a multi-year contract extension. The Caps on April 27th announced that they were parting with assistant coach Kirk Muller, who had been in charge of the Caps power play, which for the 2025-2026 regular season was really bad. The Caps this past regular season finished number 25 out of 32 NHL teams in power play efficiency at 17.8% and allowed 11 shorthanded goals, third most in the NHL. The Caps on May 21st announced the hiring of Ray Bennett as an assistant coach. Bennett spent this past season as an assistant coach for the New York Islanders. He prior to that served as an assistant coach for the Colorado Avalanche for 8 seasons, including winning the Stanley Cup with the team in 2022. The Caps on May 20th announced having re-signed defenseman Timothy Liljegren to a 2-year, $6.5 million contract extension. He had been set to become an unrestricted free agent this offseason. A lot of activity for the Caps in their 2026 offseason, off them this past season not making the Stanley Cup playoffs for just the 9th time over the last 43 NHL seasons. So the Caps so far this offseason are on a mission to make the postseason next season, and you gotta think that what they've done has increased the likelihood of winger Alex Ovechkin continuing his playing career with the Caps. I mean, if you're Ovi, how do you not come back for a 22nd NHL season, what would be his age 41 season? This past season was the final season of a 5-year, $47.5 million contract, to which the Caps re-signed Ovi as an unrestricted free agent in July 2021. Indications have been that he will play at least one more season, but nothing is official. But the Caps right now are loading up for next season. Chris Patrick did a post-draft press conference on Saturday evening. The opening exchange of the presser was this exchange between Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network and Patrick. Then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Tom Galiti of NHL.com and Patrick. And then you'll hear another exchange between El-Bashir and Patrick.
Did you think at the start of the week you were going to land 2 top 6 wingers? I mean, was that the goal, or was that just going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I hoped. I was definitely tracking a few different things on the trade market, a few different paths we could follow, and certainly Kyrou was one of them. So as that kind of played out, and it looked like it was getting closer to coming our way, I started feeling good about it. And then, the Tuck thing was certainly definitely had planned for, but you don't think you're going to get both of them. So it was nice to have that come our way.
How much does that change, what your team looks like out of those 2 guys in the wings, potentially in your top 2 lines?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we've said a lot in this room. We've been trying to add top 6 level talent on the wings, and so to do that, I think just helps. It gives a more skilled mix to our top 6. It gives Carbs more options on how to craft the lineup, and I think we're going to be a pretty balanced team, top to bottom, and I think it allows Carbs to have kind of 4 good lines that can all score goals.
You pursued a couple of top 6 guys last year. Did you maybe learn something from those pursuits and maybe realize you had to just be really aggressive, maybe even jump to the front of the line to get things done?
Yeah, I think we were aggressive in the guys we missed on. Sometimes it just works out that way. And that was kind of my concern going into this summer, is you have all these pieces now. You made some hard decisions to trade guys to get assets to hopefully use in deals, and And you can make a really good offer to St. Louis for Kyrou, and he might say, I don't want to come to Washington, and then you just have to live with it. So so sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm going to enjoy the fact that we got a couple to go our way here this year and keep going forward.
It is something. Free agency in the NHL's 2026 offseason hasn't even started yet. It begins this Wednesday, July 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern, and yet the Caps already have made two big acquisitions in trading for Alex Tuch and Jordan Kyrou. A lot of questions for Chris Patrick on Saturday evening about Alex Ovechkin. We on Saturday evening had this back and forth between Tom Galiti and Chris Patrick. Then you'll hear a follow-up exchange. Then you'll hear an exchange between Tarek El-Bashir and Patrick. Then you'll hear a follow-up exchange, and then you'll hear another back and forth between Galiti and Patrick.
When you're making these moves, are they made with Ovi in mind, or you would have made them regardless of whether he's here or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from my conversations with Alex before he left, I think I had an understanding of, if he does come back, kind of what's he looking at, contract-wise. So that kind of gave me some clarity as far as what I could do spending-wise.
But also, just your team. You're obviously, these guys are, whether Alex plays next year or 2 years, probably years, but they're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
You're transitioning to, they can be part of life after as well.
For sure. Yeah.
Have you kept in touch with Alex at all over the offseason? Does it help too that going into free agency you guys have a good amount of cap space, so if he does choose to return, there is room for him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this has been a nice combination this summer of us having tradable assets and a lot of cap space, and so it has given us flexibility to kind of pursue some off-season moves while Ovi, mulls over his decision.
Do you have a sense of which way things are going to break here? Carp said on the radio in Toronto the other day that Alex is really excited about what moves he would make.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I know Alex, as you guys all know, is a really competitive person, and he wants to win, and so I think he definitely wanted to see kind of what we did here in this offseason, help inform his decisions. So I think this will help give him some more information to make a decision on.
Do you think when you're making these moves about maybe this will appeal to him?
No, I'm making the moves for what I think our team needs, what our hockey ops group thinks our team needs, and how to make us the best team possible, either with Alex or without Alex in the lineup. And these moves are, like you said, Tom, they're more, these are moves for the next several years in the future as well, where I think we've got a really good core group of players over the next several years that we have a chance to be a contending team for a while here. So we want to make sure we add guys to help complement that group.
Do you have a time, free agency obviously starts on Wednesday, do you have a time frame as far as when you think you might talk to Alex next about this and when you might make a decision?
In my mind, I do. I'm not going to say it because then everybody's going to have a deadline that they want to ask me on. So, yeah.
I mean, could this stretch on through the summer? Or?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll have conversation in the near future and get a good sense of where he's at.
Well, I come back to this with Alex Ovechkin. He, for the 2025-2026 regular season, had the following rankings on the Caps. Number 1 in goals, 32. Number 1 in points, 64. Number 3 in hits, 134. Number 6 among all Caps who each played in at least 35 games in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage per NHL.com, 50.8. And he played in all 82 games. This guy can still play. I hope that he's back for next season. I think that he will be. And the Caps have given him even more reason to be. The 2026 NBA Summer League schedule came out on Friday afternoon. The Washington Wizards' 2026 Summer League opener is against the Utah Jazz at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas on Thursday night, July 9th at 9. We'll see who exactly is playing in this year's Summer League, but that game may well feature the player who the Wizards took with the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, A.J. Debonsa of BYU, versus the player who the Jazz took with the number 2 overall pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, draft, Darren Peterson of the University of Kansas. The player who the Wizards got via the second round of the 2026 NBA Draft is Felix Okpara of the University of Tennessee. The Wizards this past Wednesday night traded their 2 second-round picks in the draft, the numbers 51 and 60 overall picks, to the Orlando Magic for the draft rights to Okpara, who the Magic took with the number 46 overall pick. Okpara is from Nigeria. He had the 2026 NBA Draft Combine this past May, registered a barefoot height of 6'10", a weight of 237 pounds, a 7'2" wingspan, and a standing reach of 9'4". Okpara for Tennessee was a high-level rim protector and rebounder. The Wizards this past Friday afternoon held an introductory press conference for Felix Okpara. Speaking at the presser were Okpara and Wizards general manager Will Dawkins. So we, during the presser, had this exchange with Okpara, and then you'll hear Dawkins chime in.
Hey Felix, Ben Stroper with the Locked On Wizards podcast. Some of the film that I saw of you so far consisted of you switching out on the perimeter on some quicker guards in the SEC.
Yeah.
How would you assess your ability to do so here at the next level as well?
I think, that's definitely quicker guards in the NBA, and that's something that's going to come with all scouting and just a love, practicing too. I think for me, I try to, when I switch on guards, try to contain instead of, being aggressive. It also depends on the kind of player you're switching on to too. I think it's all going to come with time.
Yeah, and I would just add to that. You guys know how difficult it is to play in the NBA and the different coverages you have to throw. You can't just stay on one thing at a time. And we have a defensive metric that we kind of create during the pre-draft process for players that create the model. And he was scored really, really high in our internal defensive metric, and that includes the ability to switch, the ability to get steals and block shots without fouling. And those are the things you look for in young activity players. So he checked the box at that. Obviously, he's SEC all-defensive team for a reason, and probably, I think, the year before led the SEC in blocks percentage. But being able to switch and versatility just gives another tool for coach to throw out there.
Well, Will Dawkins is big on analytics, and I thought it was cool to hear him speak about the Wizards' internal defensive metric in which Felix Okpara graded out well. A topic basically every offseason for years with our Wizards has been the need for them to be better defensively. Okpara hopefully can help in that regard. More on why the Wizards drafted Okpara. We on Friday afternoon had this exchange with Will Dawkins.
Henry J. Brown, Wizards on SI. Between 7 first-round picks and 3 seconds over the last 4 drafts, you talked about Felix checking boxes. How do the boxes that you want to check depend based on the pick you've made, and how much between the first overall pick and number 46? What different analysis are you using?
Yeah, you could ask all of our amateur scouts, and we come together at the beginning of every season. And Amber kind of leads the meeting, and it's, hey, what are we looking for in our players? Is anything different and consistent? And we have specific Wizards traits that we look for off the court. The humility piece, the togetherness, the teamwork, the work ethic, the passion. Like, that's the type of culture we're trying to drive. He checks all those boxes, as well as AJ. And then we have the 94 by 50. And that's specific things that we want our team to look like, we want to double down on. And, of course, he checks the boxes on a lot of those in terms of positional size, versatility, length, athleticism, just motor, toughness. I think you see young teams having success in the league because they've been together for a few years and they have continuity. So of those 4 years, I think we kind of set the tone with Bilal. He was kind of the first one that kind of showed we're going to have some defensive impact in size and length and play on both ends, and it's kind of continued to go from there. So we're happy to add him, and I think he fits in pretty well, and we're just double down on that type of stuff.
Yeah, the Wizards and Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly have 2 guys who profile well defensively. Hopefully, Felix Okpara will be a quality defensive player. And Anthony Davis, if he remains with the Wizards beyond this offseason, and if he is healthy. 2 big ifs, I know, but if Davis remains with the Wizards beyond this offseason, and if he is healthy, he can help defensively. I mean, he in his career has been a very good defensive player, although next season will be his age 33 season. Defensive rating is points allowed per 100 possessions. There are 30 teams in the NBA. The Wizards have not ranked in the upper half of the NBA in defensive rating for regular season since ranking number 15 for the 2017-2018 regular season. Here are the Wizards' rankings in defensive rating for each of the last 5 regular seasons. 2021-2022, number 25. 2022-2023, number 21. 2023-2024, number 28. 2024-2025, number 28. 2025-2026, dead last, number 30. A big key to the Wizards being good again is them becoming at least decent defensively. Well, the Washington Nationals now are 10-3-1 over their last 14 series. The Nats off losing each of their previous 2 series, won a 3-game series at the Baltimore Orioles over the weekend. Friday night, a 3-1 loss at the O's, dropping the Nats below 500 in MLB's 2026 regular season for the first time since falling to 31-32 with a 4-1 loss to the Miami Marlins at Nationals Park on June 3rd. But Saturday night, a 4-3 10-inning win at the O's in a game in which the Nats blew a 3-1 8th-inning lead, but the Nats won, ending a 4-game losing streak, and Sunday afternoon, a 6-4 win at the O's. The Nats now are back above 500, 43-42, run differential of +5, 26-17 on the road versus 17-25 at home. The Nats offense in the team winning 2 out of 3 games at the O's over the weekend was mixed. The 3-1 loss at the O's on Friday night. The Nats were bad offensively, just 1 run, just 5 hits, which were 3 doubles and 2 singles, no walks, just 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position, 10 strikeouts. The 4-3 10-inning win at the O's on Saturday night. The Nats scored 4 runs, but should have scored more. The Nats had 13 hits, which were a home run, 3 doubles, and 9 singles, and the Nats drew 3 walks, but the Nats went just 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position and struck out 14 times. And the 6-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon, the Nats were good offensively, or should I say Luis Garcia Jr. was good offensively, but the Nats as a team, 6 runs, 7 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 3 singles, 5 walks, and the run total could have been even higher as the Nats went just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. But Luis Garcia Jr., he is on fire. You look at qualified Nats players in terms of OPS for this regular season. Number 1 is James Wood, 887. Number 2 is C.J. Abrams, 865. Number 3 is Luis Garcia Jr., 850. As Wood and Abrams have come back down to earth, Garcia has surged. The 3-1 loss at the O's on Friday night, Garcia served as a pinch hitter, went 0 for 1. The 4-3 10-inning win at the O's on Saturday night, Garcia as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, went 4 for 5 with a solo homer, a double, and 2 singles. He and the Nats' 1-run fifth had a leadoff homer to right field for a 2-1 Nats lead. The homer per StatCast went a projected 418 feet and had an exit velocity of 114 miles per hour. And the 6-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon, Garcia as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter went 3 for 5 with a 2-run homer, a solo homer, and a 2-run double. He had 10 total bases and 5 RBI and scored 3 runs. Garcia, in the Nats' 3-run third, had a 2-out full count opposite field 2-run double to the left center field gap to tie the game at 2, despite having been down in the count at 1.12. Garcia, in the Nats' 2-run fifth, had a 2-run homer to right center field for a 5-2 Nats lead. Garcia, in the Nats' 1-run seventh, had a 1-out solo homer to right field for a 6-2 Nats lead, despite having been down in the count at 1.02. The play was reviewed via crew chief review and was overturned to being a home run. Luis Garcia Jr. for this month of June now has 11 home runs and a slugging percentage of .797. His OPS for this month of June is in .797. His slugging percentage for this month of June is .797. Garcia for this regular season now has 16 home runs and an OPS of .850, including a slugging percentage of .543. This is his age 26 season. He's under team control through the 2027 season. You know, he was good offensively in the 2024 regular season. Defense has been the bigger problem for him. But, you know, the offense has never been that consistent. But you look at what he's doing right now. I mean, you have to wonder, is he, with what he's doing this season, declaring himself as a true piece for the Nats moving forward? And he is one of many Nats thriving under the team's new analytics-based process, modernize baseball operations, and improve coaching. Funny what those things can do. As for James Wood and C.J. Abrams, so James Wood was the Nats' number one batter in each of the 3 games in the series. The 3-1 loss at the O's on Friday night. Wood, as the Nats' starting right fielder, went 1 for 4 with a double and an outfield assist. The 4-3 10-inning win at the O's on Saturday night. Wood, as the Nats' starting right fielder, went 0 for 4 with a walk and 3 strikeouts, and shockingly got taken out of the game after 7.5 innings. His manager, Blake Butera, inserted Jacob Young into the game to play center field and moved starting center fielder Dylan Cruz to right field. Now, Butera, during his pregame session with reporters on Sunday, said that he did this purely for defensive reasons, but A, it's impossible not to think that Wood's recent struggles were not a factor. And B, it's not like Wood has been bad defensively. And sure enough, Jacob Young in this game on Saturday night came up in a big spot and did not come through. Came up in the top of the 10th with runners at the corners, 2 outs, and the Nats holding a 4-3 lead. And he had a flyout to center fielder Colton Cowser for the 3rd out. I don't know about you, but I certainly would have preferred James Wood batting in that spot. All due respect to Jacob Young, but James Wood is the best hitter on the team, even with the recent struggles. And the 6-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon. Wood, as the Nats starting DH, went 1 for 3 with a single and 2 walks. It did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base. And C.J. Abrams, he was the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter for each of the 3 games in the series, but he over the 3 games went a combined 0 for 12 with 1 walk, although he did do well defensively. The Nats starting pitching in the team winning 2 out of 3 games at the O's over the weekend was good. The 3-1 loss at the O's on Friday night, Andrew Alvarez allowed 2 runs in 4 1/3 innings with 5 strikeouts. Now, he gave up 6 hits, which were 2 doubles and 4 singles, and he issued 3 walks, and all of this added up to him throwing a lot of pitches. He over his mere 4 1/3 innings threw 88 pitches, 53 strikes, 35 balls. Alvarez in the bottom of the 4th gave up a 2-out bases loaded first pitch, 2-run single by Blaze Alexander to left field for a 2-0 Orioles lead. The run prevention overall was not bad, but Alvarez put a lot of guys on base, was not efficient with his pitches. Andrew Alvarez at the major league level in this regular season, 10 games, including 5 starts, ERA of 3.44, but a whip of 1.47. The 4-3 10-inning win at the O's on Saturday night, Foster Griffin was outstanding. He allowed 1 run, which was unearned, in 7 innings with 9 strikeouts. He gave up just 3 hits, all of which were singles. He issued 2 walks. He threw a lot of strikes, 112 pitches, 75 strikes, 37 balls. And yes, I did say 112 pitches. The Nats needed length from Foster Griffin, given the recent struggles of the bullpen, and Griffin provided length. Griffin, in the bottom of the 2nd, allowed an unearned run on 2 singles and an error, which was a throwing error by second baseman Nasim Nunez, who airmailed the throw to first base in attempting to complete a double playoff, making the put out at second base. But helping to cause the error was a nice slide by Blaze Alexander. But how about Foster Griffin now in this regular season? 17 games, all starts, ERA of 2.93, whip of 1.04, strikeouts per 9 innings of 8.97. He absolutely is a candidate for the 2026 National League All-Star team. I mean, his ERA now is below 3, and his whip is approaching being below 1. The Nats, this past December 22nd, announced having signed Griffin to a 1-year contract as a free agent off him. Having spent the previous 3 seasons in Japan, the contract reportedly is worth $5.5 million. What a bargain in this, his age 30 season, and what a performance to help the Nats snap their 4-game losing streak. And the 6-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon, Zach Littell did well. 2 runs in 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, which were a home run and 2 singles, issued 2 walks, recorded 3 strikeouts, 82 pitches, 53 strikes, 29 balls. So Littell in the bottom of the 1st allowed 2 runs, gave up a 2-out single by Adley Rutschman to center field, and then gave up a 2-out full count 2-run homer by Pete Alonso to center field for a 2-0 Orioles lead. The homer went a projected 437 feet per Statcast. But Littell otherwise was fine. Zach Littell now in this regular season, 17 games, including 12 starts, ERA of 5.29, whip of 1.35, 22 home runs allowed, tied for the most in MLB. The home run has been his biggest problem. And the Nats relief pitching in the team winning 2 out of 3 games at the O's over the weekend. Not good, but the Nats did win the series. The bullpen is going to remain a concern. I mean, that's not going to be changing anytime soon. The 3-1 loss at the O's on Friday night, 2 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 2/3 innings. So that was good. Brad Lord allowed 1 run in 2 2/3 innings. He recorded 5 strikeouts, gave up 2 hits, a double and a single, and issued 3 walks, and throwing a whopping 59 pitches, 37 strikes, 22 balls. Lord, in the bottom of the 7th, gave up a 1-out RBI double by Kobe Mayo to the left center field gap for a 3-1 Orioles lead. But Zach Kent tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 8th with 2 strikeouts, despite issuing a 2-out walk and despite first baseman Luis Garcia Jr. committing a 2-out fielding error. The Nats on Friday afternoon announced having recalled Kent from AAA Rochester. The 4-3 10-inning win at the O's on Saturday night. 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 3 innings. P.J. Poulet officially allowed 1 run in 2/3 of an inning. He had what ended up being a 2-run 8th for the O's, faced 3 batters and got 2 outs. Orlando Revolta officially allowed 1 run in a 1/3 of an inning. He came into the game in the bottom of the 8th with a runner on 3rd, 2 outs, and the Nats up 3-1. He, to the first batter he faced, gave up a 2-out RBI double by Pete Alonso to deep left field on a 1-2 pitch to cut the Nats lead to 3-2. And Revolta, on his very next pitch, gave up a pinch hit 2-out first pitch RBI single by Samuel Basayo into right center field to tie the game at 3. Orlando Revolta had been so good for the Nats, but he now has allowed at least 1 earned run in 5 of his last 8 appearances. But Clayton Beeter looked really good. He tossed a perfect bottom of the 9th with 2 strikeouts. And Justin Lawrence, in his Nats debut, tossed a scoreless bottom of the 10th, despite giving up a 2-out single and despite issuing a 2-out walk. The Nats on Wednesday afternoon announced having claimed Lawrence off outright waivers from the Minnesota Twins. And I earlier mentioned C.J. Abrams being good defensively in this series. How about the second out in the bottom of the 10th in this game on Saturday night? A nice play by shortstop C.J. Abrams, a backhanded catch of a grounder by Taylor Ward. Abrams then fired home where Jeremiah Jackson was tagged out by catcher Drew Millis. And the third out of that bottom of the 10th came via Lawrence getting Samuel Basayo to ground out to second baseman Nasim Nunez with the bases loaded to end the game. And consider this, Justin Lawrence, per the Elias Sports Bureau, became the first Nats pitcher to record a save in his regular season debut with the team since Sean Doolittle on July 18th, 2017. And the 6-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 4 innings. Mitchell Parker allowed 2 runs in 1 2/3 innings. He tossed a perfect bottom of the 6th, but Parker in the bottom of the 7th, off recording back-to-back swinging strikeouts of Dylan Beavers and Kobe Mayo, allowed 2 runs as Parker gave up a 2-out single by Colton Cowser to right center field and then gave up a 2-out first pitch 2-run homer by Jackson Holliday to right field to cut the Nats lead to 6-4. Parker then issued a 2-out 4-pitch walk at Taylor Ward and then left the game due to a left elbow issue. Not much detail from Nats manager Blake Butera during his postgame session with reporters on Sunday afternoon, but obviously you hear about the pitching elbow of Parker being the problem, and there is concern, so we'll just have to see with Mitchell Parker. Richard Lovelady retired the only batter he faced. He induced a flyout by the Orioles' number 2 batter Gunnar Henderson with the runner on first, 2 outs, and the Nats up 6-4 in the bottom of the 7th. And P.J. Poulet came up big. He tossed 2 scoreless and hitless innings for a 6-out save. A nice series win for the Nats. Next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the Boston Red Sox. The Nats have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Monday night at 7:10, Miles Michaelis. Game 2 Tuesday night at 7:10, Cade Cavalli. Game 3 Wednesday afternoon at 1:35, Andrew Alvarez. The low point for the Baltimore Orioles in MLB's 2026 regular season is 8 games below 500 at 21-29. The O's now are 7 games below 500 at 39-46, and the run differential now is at -26. So the O's are just 8-13 over their last 21 games, off losing 2 out of 3 games against the Washington Nationals at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend. Friday night, a 3-1 win over the Nats, but Saturday night, a 4-3 10-inning loss to the Nats in a game in which the O's did overcome a 3-1 8th-inning deficit, and Sunday afternoon, a 6-4 loss to the Nats. Where are we with the O's? Not just in this season, but in the bigger picture. Orioles president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Elias did a session with reporters on Saturday afternoon. The O's are in the midst of a second consecutive disappointing season of having 3 consecutive winning regular seasons, 2022 through 2024, and off making the MLB playoffs in the 2023 and 2024 season. So the O's on November 16th, 2018 announced the hiring of Mike Elias as executive vice president and general manager. He modernized Orioles baseball operations in terms of analytics. He engineered a successful rebuild, which, yes, included tanking, but he, in the post-rebuild portion of his time running Orioles baseball operations, has had some problems, including making some bad free agent signings and bad trades, and seeing some key young players regress or not develop as expected. This was Mike Elias on Saturday afternoon on whether he feels pressure regarding his job security, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
I always feel a lot of pressure in this position. I've been in baseball. This thing is my 20th season, and every single year I've felt pressure, and you worry about your job in this business. So absolutely, but I think we have a really good chance to do what we want to do, and we're all working very hard, and we're very optimistic about it. And as you mentioned, regardless of how we got here, we're a game and a half out right now, and we got everything in front of us. So I think we're going to be good.
What's giving you that confidence right now? I mean, fans look at the last couple of years, and even though there are different variables, it's been sub 500 for 2 years now.
Yeah, we're disappointed about that, and I think I've talked about that at length. I see a lot of talented people in this operation, and it's not just the players. So we believe in ourselves. This is really tough. There's other teams trying to win too, and it's a zero-sum thing, and you're going to come out on the short end of the stick, and I don't like that we're in year 2 of that, and that's not right, but I very much believe that we're going to get back on our feet here in the second half, and it's going to get rolling.
What would constitute a successful season?
Well, first of all, and I emphasize first of all, like, we want to make the playoffs. That's the gateway to winning championships. I mean, winning a division title is great, but right now we're not even in the wild card. So I think that's step one, is to get ourselves into the the wild card position. And I think if we get into the playoffs and have a good playoff run, we'll feel very good about this season. You can't specify exactly what you're going to do in the playoffs. It's very hard to do that, but I think this is a team that, if we get in, it means we had a strong second half, and I think that if we can be relatively healthy going in, this can be a pretty strong team in the playoffs with the players that we have.
Playoffs still in mind and trade deadline coming up. Do you feel like this organization is in a position to buy when the trade deadline does come around?
I really hope so. I mean, we're planning that way in case it's the case, but I'm going to have to look at the circumstances and what happens, and I will be doing the right thing for the franchise regardless of everything else. So, we're going to have to see what the standings are and what our team's looking like at that time, but we're certainly making those preparations, and everybody in this building's in the mindset of going for it in 2026.
To that point, Mike, is it difficult at all for you to, with the external and maybe internal pressure that you're feeling, to not let that seep into how you approach the deadline, or do you think it's possible that it could impact how you approach the deadline?
No, that's what I mean. I feel like if you're doing your job well as a general manager, it's sort of incumbent upon you in a position like this, and you're getting paid to do the right thing for the baseball operation and the franchise across a very long time horizon as best as you can. So that definitely would not be any type of factor on recommendations or behaviors that we'll be doing. But I am very optimistic we're going to be looking to put this team in a good position for a playoff run.
These last two seasons for the O's, 2025 and 2026, have been very strange. Some bad luck, yes, with all of the injuries, but something has been off with the O's for multiple seasons now. I have been and remain a big supporter of Mike Elias, but that he on Saturday afternoon admitted to feeling pressure regarding his job security, that is a rare admission from a head of baseball operations. And if the O's do end up having a second consecutive disappointing season, yeah, I mean, this could be his last season with the team. You know, what came out on June 18th? Orioles limited partner Cal Ripken Jr. being more involved in baseball operations in an attempt by the team to improve players' fundamentals. You wonder what that means in all of this. What does Ripken think of Elias? To say nothing of what does Orioles controlling owner David Rubenstein think of Elias? Meantime, the Orioles offense in the team losing 2 out of 3 games against the Nats at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend was so-so. The 3-1 win over the Nats on Friday night. The O's scored just 3 runs despite having 8 hits, working 7 walks, and going 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits were 3 doubles and 5 singles. The O's did strike out 12 times. The 4-3 10-inning loss to the Nats on Saturday night. The O's scored just 3 runs, a total just 7 hits, which were a double and 6 singles, and struck out 12 times. So the O's did draw 3 walks and did go 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And the 6-4 loss to the Nats on Sunday afternoon. The O's 4 runs, 5 hits, which were 2 home runs and 3 singles, 4 walks, 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. But good to have Adley Rutschman and Dylan Beavers back. Adley Rutschman as the Orioles starting catcher and number 3 batter went 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. The O's on Sunday morning announced having reinstated Rutschman from the 7-day concussion injured list. He had been on that since June 20th, retroactive to June 19th, and the corresponding roster move was the O's on Sunday morning announcing having designated catcher Sam Huff for assignment. And Dylan Beavers, he is the Orioles starting right fielder and number 6 batter, went 0 for 2 with a walk. The O's on Sunday morning announced having reinstated Beavers from the 10-day injured list. He had been on that since May 13th, retroactive to May 11th. This due to a right oblique strain, and the corresponding roster move was an interesting one. The O's on Sunday morning announced having optioned infielder/outfielder Jeremiah Jackson to AAA Norfolk after the previous night's game. Jackson has done some good things, but also doing good things is Pete Alonso. He continues to deliver on his big money contract. The 3-1 win over the Nats on Friday night. Alonso as the Orioles starting first baseman and number 3 batter, 0 for 2, but with 2 walks. The 4-3 10-inning loss to the Nats on Saturday night. Alonso as the Orioles starting first baseman and number 3 batter went 1 for 4 with an RBI double and a walk. And the 6-4 loss to the Nats on Sunday afternoon. Alonso as the Orioles starting DH and number 4 batter went 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. Pete Alonso for this regular season now has 19 home runs and an OPS of 820. The O's this past December 11th announced having agreed with Alonso as a free agent on a 5-year contract. What is a reported $155 million deal works out to an average annual value, an AAV of $31 million, highest AAV for a first baseman in MLB history. He's so far for the O's is delivering on that AAV. He has been really good. The Orioles starting pitching in the team losing 2 out of 3 games against the Nats at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend. Good in games 1 and 2, but bad in game 3. The 3-1 win over the Nats on Friday night. Trevor Rogers was good for a 4th time in 5 outings off having been bad in each of 7 consecutive outings. He allowed 1 run in 6 and 1/3 innings with 7 strikeouts versus no walks. They gave up 5 hits, which were 3 doubles and 2 singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 87 pitches, 65 strikes versus just 22 balls. So Trevor Rogers now in this regular season, 15 games, all starts, ERA of 4.99, whip of 1.31. But Rogers in this month of June, 5 games, all starts, ERA of 2.05, whip of 0.91. He in this month of June has been outstanding. The 4-3 10-inning loss to the Nats on Saturday night. Brandon Aiyuk again was good. He allowed 2 runs in 5 innings with 8 strikeouts, gave up 7 hits, which were a home run, 2 doubles and 4 singles, issued 2 walks, threw a lot of strikes, 93 pitches, 62 strikes, just 31 balls. So Brandon Aiyuk now at the major league level in this regular season, 13 games, all starts, ERA of 3.11, whip of 1.30. And the 6-4 loss to the Nats on Sunday afternoon. Kyle Bradish was bad for just the 3rd time in 10 outings. He officially allowed 4 runs, 3 earned in 4 innings. He gave up just 1 hit, which was a double, but he issued a whopping 5 walks and recorded just 2 strikeouts in throwing 85 pitches, just 40 strikes versus 45 balls. The walk has been the issue for Kyle Bradish. He in this regular season now, 17 games, all starts, ERA of 3.77, whip of 1.45, and so much of that is him having a walks per 9 innings of 4.55, way too high. The Orioles relief pitching in the team losing 2 out of 3 games against the Nats at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend was good. The bullpen was not the problem. Of the 3-1 win over the Nats on Friday night, 3 Orioles relievers combined for 2 2/3 perfect innings. Tyler Wells retired each of the 2 batters he faced. Grant Wolfram tossed a perfect top of the 8th with 2 swinging strikeouts, and Ryan Helsley tossed a perfect top of the 9th for the save. The 4-3 10-inning loss to the Nats on Saturday night. 4 Orioles relievers combined to allow 2 runs, each of which was unearned in 5 innings with 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk, although the relievers did also combine to give up 6 hits. Rico Garcia allowed 1 run, which was unearned in 1 inning. Keegan Aiken tossed 2 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts. Andrew Kittredge tossed a scoreless top of the 9th with 2 swinging strikeouts, and Ryan Helsley allowed 1 run, which was unearned in 1 inning. And the 6-4 loss to the Nats on Sunday afternoon, 3 Orioles relievers officially combined to allow 2 runs in 5 innings. Tyler Wells officially allowed 1 run in 1 inning, came into the game in the top of the 5th with a runner on first, no outs, and the O's trailing 3-2. And Wells, to the first batter he faced, gave up a 2-run homer by Luis Garcia Jr. to right center field for a 5-2 Nats lead. Albert Suarez allowed 1 run in 3 innings, and Grant Wolfram tossed a scoreless top of the 9th. Next up for the O's is a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The O's have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Monday evening at 6:35, Shane Baz. Game 2 Tuesday evening at 6:35, Trey Gibson. Game 3 Wednesday afternoon at 12:35. The Orioles starting pitcher is to be announced. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Tuesday's show, episode 1358, we'll have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Tuesday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats are at the Boston Red Sox Monday night at 7:10 for game 1 of a 3-game series. The O's are home to the Chicago White Sox Monday evening at 6:35 for game 1 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
We is not cool. We won't be cool, and I will never be stepping in that building except for on October 19th when I come through with that motherfucking belt.